Back to Green Tea Gardens, and today we're going to go through 10 crops that you could start seed from indoor coming up March month for your spring garden. And these crops could survive in cooler temperature. Let's say springtime and you're transplanting outside, and you got some good weathers in the 50s, and then one day you had a drop in the 30s. These plants could survive that one day. Most plants will not survive. Number one is beetroot. Beetroots you could grow in springtime and fall time, but in springtime they give a really good production. Make sure you got loose soil, separate them about 4 inches apart. And in beetroot, you're not just eating the vegetable at the bottom, you're eating the leaves too. Superfood, very healthy. Number two is cauliflower. Great for starting indoor. Within 3 weeks to a month, you could transplant outdoor. They do take a while to grow, and to get a harvest, it's always good to get a head start indoor when growing cauliflower. Number three is broccoli. Same thing. Broccoli is a big plant that do take a longer period of time to grow. This is why you need to start right now, coming up for your spring garden. You do not want to wait till springtime to start seed, because then you're going to be behind of the season. And if the weather gets too hot for summertime, broccoli will bolt. Number four is cabbage. Start seeding cabbage indoor, as broccoli and kale, they do take a long time to grow. I suggest using these seeding trays when it comes down to transplanting cabbage plant. I'm going to talk all about that. Number five is kale. Kale grows really fast. One of the fastest seed to germinate, to me, it's kale. And kale could survive really cold temperature. Number six is carrots. Carrots is growing perfect in springtime and fall time too. Highly recommend to seed this exactly at your location. It's not something you do want to transplant. So wait till the temperature get a little nicer, maybe mid-March. Plant directly where you're going to plant in a container. Make sure you get loose soil. You want to dig down about 8 inches below. Move any rocks, any sticks, because remember, carrots goes all the way down. When planting your carrots, you could just sprinkle it on top, water it, and then take a cardboard paper and cover it for a couple days. So this way you don't lose the seed. It will germinate. Number seven is lettuce. Most type of lettuce, any type of lettuce, you could start planting indoor. Same thing when it comes down, I do recommend these seeding trays when transplanting lettuce, because they're very hard to transplant when there are small seedlings. But lettuce will survive in very cool temperature. Number eight is Swiss chard. Highly recommend this plant, especially for beginners. This plant is very strong, will survive high wind temperature, low degrees. It will survive, and it gives you a lot of production. Once you harvest the outside leaf, you could get tons of harvest from Swiss chard. It's a super food, super greens. Number nine, radish. Any kind of radish, turnips and stuff like that are really good in springtime. This is another great plant for beginners. What do you have to do? Space them at about 3 to 4 inches apart. And as the plant growing, I highly recommend to thin your plant out. Remove the leaves to get good airflow. When the radish is popping out from the top of the soil, at least a half an inch, they're ready to go. They germinate fast and grow very fast. And number 10 is all type of herbs, from basil, parsley, cilantro. These could start growing inside, and then you could transplant outside, or you could even grow this indoor. Put them by your window corner. They will grow. They will grow in soil. They will grow in water. So these are amazing. Even if you get hydroponics garden system, highly recommend them to grow. When it comes down to seeding, I recommend these seeding trays for beginners. Reason why I recommend them, because you could easily move them to transplant. If you get big containers, let's say you have a big containers and you plant 4 to 6 seed in here, it's going to be really hard to transplant them, because you're going to have to break it up and separate all the plants. And for a beginner, you might lose a couple of plants. So I advise you guys, get some seed trays like this. You want to plant 1 to 2 seed. The reason why you plant 2, just in case one doesn't germinate, the other one germinate. You could always remove the one and let one only grow. If you plant 3 to 4 seeds in here, you will have to transplant faster, because the root's going to take over. It's going to be crowded. And if you don't transplant in time, you could lose your seedlings. So plant 1 to 2 seed. Highly recommend that. Start seeding indoor. Get a loose soil, even a pot and mixed soil. Go through your soil. Remove all mulch. Remove some of the sticks and bricks and whatever they have in there. Another thing, if you're going to be planting, I know a lot of people are going to be planting tomatoes and peppers. You're going to start really early. Highly recommend these jumbo ones. These jumbo ones, you have more room and more space. So this way, if the weather is still chilly outside, you do not have to transplant right away. You could grow for another couple weeks more in the jumbo one. So with the dome cover, I highly recommend with this, because what you do after you seed, you cover it down, it traps the heat, the humidity level. And the good thing about this, you fill this circle here with water, it slow drips into the middle and then release slowly into all of your seedlings right here. It was made really perfect for seeding. Cannot go wrong. Make sure to get a growing light when you start seed. Make sure to get a heating mat when you start seed. The heat, what I like to do when I add my soil and my seed, I put it under the heating mat, because it heats up the soil, keeps in it high humidity, will germinate fast. And soon as they germinate, then you start getting your growing light. Make sure you put close light, it's not too high up, or else the seedlings will stretch to go higher, and that's when you could get leggy seedlings. To avoid leggy seedlings, you got to make sure after your seedlings are growing, you got to make sure to get in good air, you got to make sure to get in good sunlight and enough water. That's a three thing: water, sunlight, and air. Sunlight, it's basically your growing lights that you're going to be doing. Now, as for a beginner, if you start seeding for the first time, I recommend to get yourself some name tags. And always label your plant as you plant the seeds. So this way you're not going to be confused and mixed up and trying to figure out what plant you plant. You do not want to mistake a broccoli with a carrot or something like that, because they're bigger, different plants, so need more space, need more bigger container and stuff like that. And it's still cold outside. Today we get low as 19, high as probably 30 something in Long Island, New York. And before I keep going on, I just want to say thank you to everybody who's subscribing and joining Green Tea Garden. See, I have a lot of new people, and welcome. I'm in Long Island, New York, and we're getting into March soon. So March, we're definitely going to be in the high 40s to maybe low 50s, which is perfect for all these crops that I show you guys. So after you watch this video, get yourself some seeding trays, get a growing light, and start seeding now. Remember, the seed will take about at least 7 to 14 days to germinate. And that seedling will take about another 2 to 3 weeks to grow. You're talking about over a month probably sometimes to get a good size seedling plants to transplant outdoor. Another tip, do not transplant your seedlings if they're too small outdoor. If they're too small and you transplant them outdoor, they might not make it. Depends on the temperature, depends on the sun that comes out during the day, and the wind might break it. And another thing, I'm just tossing in tips right now. If you get a leggy seedlings, which I do have one right here, sometimes they come around, you can't help it. If you have a leggy seedlings, so it depends on the type of plant, you could get a bigger container, put the seedlings in here, and add more soil, basically burying it more deeper, and leave about at least 1.5 inches up. Some plants, unfortunately, with leggy seedlings, they're not gonna make it. You could just reseed back. But with tomatoes, peppers, and kale and all that, you could put them down deeper and cover it higher soil, so you could get away with leggy seedlings. This is a company called So Right Seeds. Really good company, highly recommend them. Their seed has been germinated, and this is from Vigo Garden. Top of the line quality, heavy duty. Do not throw away your seed in trays, reuse them for next year. These things will last you for a long time. You do not want to keep spending money. Your seed, after you finish, you want to fold it up and store it in somewhere nice and dry. The seed will last about 4 to 5 years. So you got to make sure you do not want to spend money nonstop. Same thing with your grow lights, and everything will last for years. All right. Any question, comment below. And thank you so much for watching Green Tea Garden. I got more videos coming up, shorts coming up, and I appreciate everybody for subscribing. And if you're new, welcome to Green Tea Garden. Click the subscribe button, followed by the bell icon. Every time I upload a video, you guys will get it right away. A lot of stuff coming up. We're going to be growing in the greenhouse, in-ground, containers, and raised garden beds. So get ready for lawn and grow with Green Tea Garden.